Roy's doing hot guy shit.
So my name's Tony Durhammer. Started Hammertech race cars in 2018. Fast forward to now, I moved into this new shop, 4 times the size. Basically going full bore for a year and a half now. So things are going great. Got great customers like Johnny and Ben and all these guys. But how I got into this was grew up. My dad owned a salvage yard, so anything that we wanted growing up as kids, we never really went out and bought. It was more of, hey, let's try to make this work to what we need. So we kind of got the mentality of making things from other things to get what we wanted, and it evolved into passion for cars and passion for racing and pushing the envelope of basically everything we could, from dirt bikes to we did dirt track racing, drag racing. Went to Northwestern in Ohio over at Uno. Went to work in Lafayette at a dealership. Worked there for about 3 years as a technician at a Chevy dealership, and it just wasn't driving me enough working on the normal everyday things. So left there, and I went to a place in Lafayette where they did back then about 90% of the top fuel dragsters and funny car chassis for NHRA. And I worked there for about 4 years until Antron went from his pro stock bike team to wanting to drive the dragster. Well, they needed someone that could weld up cracked headers or do some fabrication on the car. I started with Antron in late 2007, and we went racing almost every weekend there for a long time.
Rural Suncoast door converter. So it's similar to the one we have in the Pro Street truck, but it's got some updates. It's an updated version, and they got a newer flex plate, which we switched to last year. It's a little thicker.
So it's Suncoast flex plate?
Yeah. So there's the original one. We actually stretched all 6. Well, it's got 12 bolts in it. We put all 12 in. So 3 years ago we would stretch in the bolt holes. And then this year we stretched all 12. Like pulled them. They're changing bolts out, changing flex plate out. The new one's a little thicker. I think it's about 80 thou thicker-ish. If I remember what I measured. Hoosier seems to be the hot ticket. We'll play with them. I guess every track's gonna want something different. I see everybody with the big tires have like 2 sets.
Yeah, a lot of guys, they'll keep a set of Hoosiers and a set of Mickeys. I feel like the Mickeys are like the band-aid of, you throw the Mickeys on and turn it down and it'll go down dirt road. So
yeah.
For the Hoosiers, like, if you want to get every ounce of ET out of the thing, that's what you want to have on.
Yep. At least when we switched to the Hoosiers on the truck, it's got, so the M&H is a soft sidewall from about here to here. It's like super soft, just like a rag after you run them about 15-20 passes.
Yeah.
So the Hoosier has a kind of like a harder sidewall.
Yeah.
Up into here, it's got a little soft patch about right here, and it's back to the hard bead. So it's only got a small segment, maybe I'm saying 30% of the sidewall soft, and the rest of it's got like reinforcement looking at it. So this one feels similar.
Yeah, it's like
it's stiff up to
inside
about
radius
here.
of it, the way they wrap it. This is a lot thicker from here to here.
Yep.
And it just kind of thins out as it goes to, and then it gets thicker as it goes back to the bead.
So what do you think about 34.5s versus like the 36s?
Basically, the only difference is the compounds are really close to the same, but the amount of spring that the tire gets is the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So the taller the tire,
Yep.
the taller the sidewall, so the more
Absorption.
spring you're going to get out of the tire. So the shorter the tire, will give you easier wheel speed.
Okay.
But I've always felt that the taller tire works better with the diesel because the RPM window we play with, wheel speed's never like slowing down the wheel speed. That's the problem. The wheelie bar, the only reason I use it is to create wheel speed. So it's there if the tire sticks it, it'll touch the wheelie bar and give you the wheel speed. But if it gets wheel speed on its own, it'll never touch it.
Yeah, I just want to, just like all that little stuff, brake lines and.
Yeah, brake lines will all be brand new.
Okay.
I'll have Brown & Miller make the soft line over to the T, and then it'll be hard line everywhere else.
Nice.
So the master cylinder, instead of being in front, we're actually going to mount it basically beside the trans on the inside, so it'll be easier to work with.
Yep.
Like the one in the white car is actually, it sits under your leg. And it's just a pain to get the rod over, so this one's actually going to be a shaft.
Okay.
And then on the inside of the frame rail, there'll be a rod that runs back to the master cylinder.
Nice.
I'll probably put 2 bungs in, that way you can drain it on either side depending on if wind's blowing one way or the other.
Yep.
And then
We got room to put a pan or something.
from here, it'll just be soft line back up to the tank. The trans into a separate vent tank, and then out of the tank goes through like a 2-pound check.
Yep.
And then back into the frame rail. So if it ever overfilled that can, it would go back into the frame rail.
Nice.
It's so tight up against the body right here where it's angled that you almost have to run it up till it touches and find the top of that pin, and then you can set it on.
Yeah, it was hard to get the doors on and off. The way that,
we look like a bunch of clowns.
yeah, we look like a bunch of straight greenhorns.
You made the doors come off?
The doors come off these?
Right.
We never had that.
Yep. Nice. I like it. And then like anti-roll bar stuff. Does that one bolt in?
This one does bolt in. The mount is a little bit different than what this one is.
Yep.
So this one's just a single tab, where the new one will be dual tabs on each side, and then it's got like almost a Heim style joint.
Yep.
So this will be a 3-inch tube that runs in between with a hub that gets welded.
Okay.
So it'll be 1.25 inch spline with a 6-inch arm running down. So it'll make that thing look like toothpick. Great, really. I feel like the sport's growing. Guys are starting to push that envelope of, okay, what do I need to do to fully use the horsepower we can make? So the days of, okay, let's put it in a 4,000 pound truck because I'm partial to the truck, the diesel truck guys are, they can relate, but to really get every ounce of horsepower out of one, you need to put it in something light. The rules that are in place from SFI clearly state basically anything over 3,600 pounds has to run a slower ET. So if you want to go faster, you got to get lighter. So we keep getting lighter and lighter, and carbon products, and 4130 thin wall tube instead of DOM, and really go into every aspect of what goes into a car to see how can it be made better, how can it be made stronger, how can it be made safer, and in the end, what's going to make it faster. So
what we try to do is not to put any possible leak point in line with a tire. So like location wise, like when I watch people put like oil tanks right here in the firewall, it's in line with the tire. It's like, man, if you ever get a leak, man, that's your ass. If it's in between, it's less your ass, I guess.
Yeah, which we always put, the Jiffy tights, so you got a male and a female for an inlet and outlet.
Yep.
And I had them get the opposite sides, so we always cap them.
Yeah.
That way we're not relying on the Schrader valve
to hold
everything back.
Yep, I like that.
Yeah, that's one of the provisions I want to do, because actually when we were in Virginia, we started pushing it up the staging lanes all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And even though trans temp would be the same as what it normally was, I don't feel like the case was the same temperature. So it affected like
it varies.
Bump,
Yeah.
All these other things that you didn't ever think it would.
Oh. Well, like in the truck we had that same trouble, right? So like we'd spool up and heat soak the trans about an hour before we go up, and then that hour could turn into 2 hours if there's some downtime at the track, so then it's cold again.
Yeah.
So the reason we did that regulator from Fuel Lab, it's a fuel pressure regulator, boost reference. The reason we did that, so it's consistent whether it was hot or cold, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
We were super consistent with that setup.
The new features I want to do on the cooler cart is have a 3-way valve to where I can actually preheat everything. So you don't ever have to start it. You can just hook it up, flip the switch, and set it at
nice, yeah.
whatever
Set your
temperature
temp.
you want. Yeah.
Consistency.
Good idea.
That's what it's all about.
Do trans and oil same time.
Does that
same
cooler cart hold like a certain amount of fluid volume?
It holds a little bit just because you got a spin-on filter. You know, it's got an actual trans cooler with a fan on it and all the lines. So it's maybe a quart, quart and a half.
Quart and a half.
But once it's full, it never takes anything that it doesn't need.
Yeah.
So you can actually use it to fill whatever you want, because it'll actually make its own converter pressure. So you can fill the converter without the car running. Like it works really, really good. You know, if you do turn down to where the turbo is tucked way down, or if you do straight out, it would definitely be halfway in and out.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, it'd be neat to see it maybe halfway in and out, do a little turn up with a whip tail out of titanium, and then if we molded the hood for like a feed into the turbo.
Yeah.
But it might be hard to get the hood off and on that way.
How their injector sits just in front of the windshield.
Yep.
If we were to actually flip it around and put it inside the cockpit, it made more boost because it was pulling from the low pressure area inside the cabin
That's crazy.
than pressurizing it
That's
for 80% of the run. The last
20%.
100 feet or 200 feet, it's actually doing 300 mile an hour. Then you're getting pressure. But
What you say, you know, like sometimes what you think won't work.
Well, like we got,
Kinda
I got
works.
like thousands of hours on the chassis dyno / engine dyno, and shit you think works, don't, and stuff you never thought would work does.
It's like
It's
makes
all
the power.
backwards.
yeah.
It's not sonic speeds yet. It's probably in that 250, 300 range at the high part of the velocity. The biggest benefit is putting a huge radius on the inlet. I mean, that's the biggest deal.
Yeah.
Like on a single swap kit piping, I bet guys like, I bet lunch to the guy that was on the dyno. If we pull the intake off, it'll make, the guys are like, oh yeah, it'll make more power. You pull the air filter and stuff off. I'm like, want to bet lunch on that? It's always like 20, 30 horsepower more with the intake on. That's the adjustable piece you're talking about, so we can easily set.
Yeah, so you'll be able to go.
So you can jack a corner weight by that instead of
Oh, nice.
the spring.
Yep. So you can change the attitude of the car
Yep.
up a half or down a half, which changes instant center
Oh yeah.
as well as corner weight if you want to do individually.
Yeah.
But like at the track, if I was going to make an adjustment, say the thing leaves and it's driving back to the right or something,
Yep.
you want to add more weight, then you can start changing the attitude of the car.
Tweaking that, yeah.
Just the littlest bit, like one turn is
Yep.
probably 6 inches to get the piping
Yep.
turned back around.
Yeah.
So basically anything in front of the rack can be
It could be
oil tank, fuel tank. Yeah, it's just a thin piece that comes down with 4 tabs on it.
Yep. And then as far as like a valve, like a barrel valve or a shut off on the tank, if you were servicing something,
You can get an inline filter that's got a valve on it, which I've really been thinking about implementing that into just being the standard.
Yep.
So if you ever killed the power, it would shut the fuel off right there.
I've got some Fuel Lab like billet filters, some new ones around the shop.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've picked on Josh about that, making a shut off on the end of one of them. I know that what was it, like All Star?
Yeah.
I think All Star has something similar to that.
Just
that
a
they make.
little
I
butterfly
don't know if it's a
hand.
big end brand or something, but it's like a built-in butterfly handle on it.
Yeah.
So it might not be too bad to put a barrel valve in the end of one of those billet.
Just a 3-way
screw-on
to
pieces.
return it back,
Yep.
which I would prefer to do it after the pump.
Yeah.
That way you're not draining everything. But
Yeah.
these are kind of more finicky than the gas stuff.
Yep.
Like you don't want to just chop the supply pressure off to everything. 'Cause you'll
Mhm.
ruin all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. You got off the pump. You got 2 lines going in the motor. There's no other line on this side to feed in the cam journal, or there is.
There is one. It's a -6 line.
Yep.
So I put the filter mount like back here.
Yep.
So you'd have your 2 suctions coming out of the tank, go up to your suction on your pump, into the oil tank, and then out of the oil tank into the high pressure suction and then that'll feed your filter, and it'll be a single -12 line that runs up and over. And about somewhere in here, I put that inline block that's just a crimped in block.
Yes, pressure.
So you got 4, it comes with 2, but I make 4 eighth pipe fittings on it. So you can feed the head out of it. You get pressure, temperature, and then I come out of the bottom of it and feed this side of the engine.
Like the campsite.
The campsite.
Okay.
And then this will be a T and a 90.
Okay.
So everything comes out of that one line.
Nice.
So you know,
The main line, all
yeah,
of these.
everything that goes in the engine, you'll know exactly what it is.
I got an intake design deal I was going to try to tweak and do, but it should still be in the same plane. So if we end up swapping the intake later, so it's going to be like an integrated rail instead of bringing lines into the port. It's going to make a billet, another billet intake that has a built-in rail. So it's similar, same thing, bolt-on, same location,
Yeah.
but it's a billet bolt-on deal. We can almost put, probably don't want the solenoid mounted right to it because of like harmonics or fitting breaking off. Or would, like, you could measure pressure out of the rail at this end, nitro solenoid on this end, and do 2 rails. And as far as like orifice holes being machined into the port,
Yeah.
I could do whatever size. Like if you had 2 rails, you could do 70s, or you could do 100.
So, depending on how many holes you have, really. That's
Just say 1 hole per port
yeah.
on each rails, but there'd be 2 rails, one bottom of the port and one top of the port.
Yeah.
And you could put 2 Lightning 375s there,
Yeah.
and then like 2 regular small right off the turbo to help cool that air. But I don't know if it's better to have a bunch at the port or give time for that air to cool off.
So, my opinion is, what's up here is where you're going to get the horsepower from.
Okay.
So whatever's over here is just
Like
cooling
cool or
charge
cooling
air.
charge air.
Yeah. So the more you put over there, the cooler the charge air is going to be. But the more you put here, the more power you're going to see.
Yep. Never ran an without an intercooler before. So I'm just trying to figure out
Yeah.
combos, you know. It'd be interesting. Yeah. The air intake temps though are going to be 200-ish instead of like we got 90 degrees usually.
Yeah,
90,
I would
90
think
to 100.
it wouldn't be 200 till maybe the end of the track.
Okay. Nice.
But where I've seen it monitored has always been at the turbo, you know. So
Yeah. Well, we have one coming turbo discharge, and then we have one in the back of the plenum where the air hits it. So you measure both the deltas, I guess.
yeah,
But
which that's what I've done on the intercoolers that I made. I measured pre and post,
Yep.
and it'd be like 650 to
yeah.
120.
Right. Yep.
I think the more you throw in it pre, you know, let the air cool on its way up, you could definitely, I bet you could get it down to 100.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be like 2 132 jets probably right off the turbo side, or we could do three little shots over there like that.
Yeah, the problem I think is feeding as much as you want to put out here is the problem.
Yeah. Well, -8 line, like thinking one -8 line off a bottle feeds one Lightning 375 and then one of the 122 orificed solenoids, like split.
Yeah.
But both of those wide open still doesn't seem like it'd drain that -8 line, but it probably will drop pressure.
Yeah, I figure the 375 solenoid, it'd be almost all of that if you widened it open.
If it was wide open, yeah.
It'd be nice to run it all through the same orifice
Yeah.
so that you could progress in both solenoids on
Right.
the same system
Oh, I got you.
instead of
Yeah, you could put one on each end of the rail, like do a single rail with, bam.
right.
Yeah.
And then you could run separate, you know, if you're having 2 bottles, you could run each line separately to 2 different bottles.
Right.
And then you could tee off of each one of those for
For the small ones,
the
yeah.
small ones.
Appreciate all your hard work. Definitely got a lot of time and effort and thought it goes into
Yeah, there's
the little things that make your life easy, and it's the little neat touches that like you've got years of experience on doing on this kind of platform. It's badass. I like it.
yeah, there's way more thought than work that goes into.
Oh yeah, it takes longer figuring it out than it does doing it.
Yeah.
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 We learned that on the hard way on the Pro Street truck. God. We'll see how close, like, because I got a tune up in my head that I would want to start with. Like I already got it in my head. I know what I want to throw in it. but I'm wondering how close that is to reality. We're about to find out.
Yeah. I think finding the tune-up of where you know Q1 you can go to any track and put X number on the board.
Because we had a, like what we called the get her down the track tune-up.
Yeah.
Like it's straight go down any track, and then we throw the kitchen sink at it, whether that was the first time out or the second time out. And then we put the get her down the track tune in.
Yeah.
So.
See, I like to start the other way.
Yeah.
I like to put a number on the board, get a feel for the track,
Yep.
and then pick where to tweak it.
Yep. Yeah, we usually do it backwards. 3 years of data on every track and all these notes and notebooks and all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Notes in the logs, like it's crazy. We found stuff like last year, like a year previous that helped us in the current year all the time. Like, was it doing it then? Let's go back and look. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's tweak this here and
that's
go faster.
That's the biggest thing you can do.
It's huge.
Keep track of stuff.
Yep. And then we're talking about, I don't know what sensor it is, but we want to do like a tire track sensor. It's a infrared deal.
Like a temp sensor?
Yeah, so it goes in the log.
Yeah.
So we're not writing it down all the time and lasering and
Oh,
stuff. That'll keep it in the log.
I put both on bins so you could have tire temp versus track temp.
Yeah, yeah. We want to do both.
Which is kind of cool because you eventually see like,
You'll see a pattern.
what's the scary point on tire temp that at, let's just say 200 degrees, it's the edge of, it's going to blow the tires off.
Yep.
So if you go down the track and it's like 150 something, you're like, oh, we can definitely put more on it.
Yep.
But if you go down and it's like 195 the whole time, you're like, yep, we
on
got
the
it all.
edge. Yep. We got it. One bulkhead fitting or two? Two. Yep.
So there's one that's just for the injectors and then one for everything that comes through the firewall.
Nice.
That's the same as the exhaust pattern.
Okay.
And then this matches the intake pattern.
Oh yeah. I like that.
So it bolts on under everything.
Yep.
And then it's just, 2 tubes and a quick pin, and then the strap goes under. So there's nothing on top of.
Nothing on top.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I like that. Perfect.
Yeah, nice and
Tony's
hidden.
already got it thought out, man. I don't even have to think about it. It's good. Yeah. One thing I learned over time, you don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. If you are, you're in the wrong fucking room.
You're in the wrong. I knew there was a reason, man. You keep me around.
Exactly.
I'm the other room.
Yeah. You're the yes man.
I'm the yes man.
And then I'm sure the next one after this will be even better yet. So where we try to just learn from our past to make the next project better, so the next customer can have something better. And that's basically our whole philosophy, is just to be better every time we go forward. So.